Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. We see some people are joining. Of course, we can begin our session with our some introductions, and more people will be joining us during the session. Good morning. My name is Iraklis Kyritsis. I'm the Data Access Team Manager, and I'm here today with my colleague Siôn Clarke.
Hey there,
Sean.
everyone.
Good morning. And we have designed within the Access team our workshop, which we have called Making a Secure Data Application. This you might have attended other workshops that we present from our Access team, the introduction to the UK data service, our workshops on finding and accessing data. And we designed this one specifically to speak a bit more about how to make a efficient and well-written secure data application. Our aim is to cover the most important pain points, we can say, or queries or issues that delay applications in the process. So we can support you submit well-written applications that will help to quicker and more efficient delivery of time scales. Yes, not delay. Of course, we will have a section at the end for questions, and we will try as much as possible to personalize the session on your needs. Thank you. So to begin with, perfect. So on this slide, we see that what we will cover in this session. So to go through the roadmap, we were thinking it will be useful. We will start, of course, with an introduction to the controlled data to understand what are the controlled data. Then we will speak about the UK Data Service SecureLab, our TRE, Trusted Research Environment. We will have a quick overview on the application components and eligibility, who is eligible to apply for secure controlled data. And then my colleague Siôn will walk you through all the details of an application. We will see different applications for, as we classify them, non-ONS data, ONS and SearL data. We will speak more about the differences, but the aim is to see the forms, to speak about specific sections on the forms that we usually have to query with our users before we can submit an application. Of course, more and more people are nowadays working from home, so we thought to have a section on home working applications. So if you have that interest, to give you all the information required on how to check your project, if it is eligible, and if it is, how to make this application. Questions and answers, of course, anything you need, you can ask us either on the chat or on the Q&A section. And of course, we will try to reply live your questions. And at the end, we will have a good 10 minutes to go through any questions with you. Thank you so much. If we are all okay, we can begin our session. So first, we will need to ask you some information, some demographics to see, to meet you, to have more information about you. So if you can please use another tab, or the mobile phone, it's useful in such cases to visit or with a QR code, or visit directly menti.com and input the code you see on the screen, where the next slides will have some questions for us. Excellent. Of course, I can move to the first question. If you are having any challenges logging in, the link is still here, the information menti.com, and the code is still visible, so anytime feel free to have it on. So the first question we have, and we will explain you the reason why we're asking this question during the session, is to see where are you based. It's interesting to see we are around 13 attendees, so we have around 9 responses, 7 in the United Kingdom, 2 in the European Economic Area countries. If you can please, for the people who are from the European Economic Area country, and you wish to type on the chat section which country, that will also be useful for us. Thank you so much. Our second question is to see, so if you have already, thank you, Shahinda, for being in Germany, and welcome. if you have already registered with the UK data service, you will see that you need to select your user type, which we then check it and we correct it if it's needed. So it's interesting to know what is your user type. As expected, a lot of university staff, university postgraduates, that's very nice to have for, yes. So we have a lot of academics today. I think 9 out of 13 are on it. Perfect. So yes, so we will try our best to personalize it. 6 on the university staff, so we'll try our best to personalize it for your experience. And perfect. Well, that's lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And this is an open question, so we would like to ask you what made you join today's session? What is your drive? What are you hoping to get out? Are you preparing an application? Are you just out of curiosity to see, to know more about the data? So anything, if you like, a couple of sentences here, so we know how we can best support you. So curious on data safety. That is very important indeed, and thank you for joining. Clarification on the application and how to obtain the home access. Perfect. How to apply on secure data, hoping to get a better idea for future applications, an overview of the process. I'm preparing an application for my PhD. Lovely. Super, and good luck. Difference between secure data applications. Perfect. We have a section on that where we will see a bit on the differences, so we will cover. Looking for a place to deposit my sensitive data. Okay, we will not go in detail on deposits, but we will speak about the licenses that during the deposit. But after the session, please get in contact with us and we will direct you to our data collections team for anything further needed. And new to this whole topic, lovely. Super. Sean, if you agree, we can begin. Thank you very much.
Let us go for it.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will turn off our video so we can focus on the slides, and we will be back, of course, at the end for the questions. Excellent. So beginning first to understand a bit more about the control data and the license framework. So overall, each dataset that we host in the UK data service has a designated access level. It's important to note that any of the datasets available through our catalog are not owned by the UK data service. The data are deposited by a data owner, and during the deposit process with our collections team, there is a decision on what will be the license, what will be the access level that this dataset will be deposited under. This decision is, of course, made in respect to the confidentiality and the sensitivity of the data. Accessing our website, our catalog, you will be able to see datasets under a 3-tier access policy: open datasets, safeguarded datasets, and controlled datasets, also known as secure. We use both terms for such datasets. Moving next, I will provide you some information on each of those access levels and licenses. So as we see on this slide, open data, so this license is for data that are not classified as personal data, they are not personal information, and they carry no residual risk of disclosure. To access open data, there is no need for registration. Anyone can just search the data, find the data, and download them immediately. The most common licenses for use for open data are the Open Government License and the Creative Commons licenses. Moving next, safeguarded data, a vast majority, we can say, of the datasets in our catalog. Again, those data are not classified as personal, they are not personal information. However, the risk of identification in that case is considered sufficiently remote. These data are still anonymized, so they are effectively anonymized data. Safeguarded data are subject to the end user license agreement. So during your registration, the last step of the registration is to accept the end user license agreement, which will govern the use of the service and the data and provide all the information on what you need to do and how you are allowed to use the data. Of course, safeguarded data we said that it is a requirement to be a registered user to authenticate yourself. Usually this is happening, and today we have academics, so with your institutional credentials, you just use those through Shibboleth, and you are automatically, you can easily register for the service. And of course, in safeguarded data, the data owners have the option to select additional conditions to put in place. This can be a location restriction. This can be a restriction that commercial use of the data is not permitted. So this is under the negotiations with the data owners and what restrictions they want to place. You might have seen that sometimes safeguarded data, one option of safeguarded data is the special license data, where they have further restrictions on where those can be accessed and where those data can be stored. Going to our point of our webinar today, it's our controlled secure data. So these data are classified as personal information and personal data. They are legally protective, and they are particularly confidential and sensitive, commercially or otherwise. Of course, those data are also subject to the end user license agreement, and access to those and use of those data is facilitated via our 5 SAMES framework we will see on the next slides. As a short description, the data are made available to registered users, trained users. They need to be an accredited researcher. You need to have a project approved by the data owner, and access will be through a secure connection method. Of course, there is another contract that needs to be completed to be fully executed and in place. So before access is given through our SecureLab, which is our trusted research environment, each team member needs to have in place a fully executed secure access user agreement. We will see everything in detail, just add it here as first information. So what we need to keep here is that control data, legally protective, classified as personal information, and are as a service, we are able to share those data for research purposes under the 5 SAFES framework, which is, let's see, what is the 5 SAFES framework? It's a framework that was designed by the Office for National Statistics together with Trusted Research Environment, and the UK Data Service supported the creation of this framework. What it tells us is that in order for us to be able to enable access to such confidential and sensitive data, we need to ensure that all the safes are in place. We start with a safe project, so it is very important. We see the question, is this an appropriate use of the data? So we will see on the next information as well that our project needs to be able to provide public good. So due to the sensitivity of the data, it needs to be an appropriate use. So it will be given, control data will be provided when this is absolutely necessary, when in order to complete the research purposes, there is absolutely need for controlled data. These data are usually accessed by researchers because they go very low in geography and they have much more detail. For example, they might include the day of birth, which less restrictive data sets will not include, or they will give postcodes and grid references. So, and this is for a lot of research projects required in order to provide the impact to end up with the publication. Of course, so it is a check that us and the data owners will do, is that to ensure that there is a safe project which justifies the need of the data and will result in public benefit. Moving next to safe people, of course, in order to access sensitive confidential microdata, you will be required to be an accredited researcher who has completed safe researcher training, and there are different ways, as we will see next, on proving the experience with using microdata. Safe setting, of course, this is our SecureLab environment, our trusted research environment. So we ensure that we provide an environment that prevents, that minimizes and completely wipes any security risks. So the data owners are confident that the data are used, remain confidential, while researchers have access to those valuable research data. Is the detail appropriate? Safe data, of course, direct identifiers are removed. However, due to the sensitivity that still remains, there is the risk of identifying an individual or a business. And of course, this refers as well to the justification that if the project, if the aims, if the questions that we're trying to reply through our research do not require that detail, of course, access to such sensitive data will not be provided. Last but not least, safe outputs. So all outputs are checked. They're going through statistical disclosure control to ensure that there is no risk, confidentiality risk arising from the publication. So once all those safes are in place, data owners can be confident that the data remain confidential, and researchers can be happy that they can use such valuable data sets. So moving next about the safe setting, since 2011, the UK Data Service is running our SecureLab, our trusted research environment. So the idea was because in order to work on and analyze sensitive data, controlled data, researchers usually have to go to a specific research center in a safe room, etc., to access the project. So the idea is the SecureLab is an online environment. You can imagine it as a desktop so you connect to an environment which provides you all the software that are required. It includes different versions of R, it includes Python, it includes Word, it includes everything usually researchers require. And it is a control environment, so nothing goes in and out of it without checks from the UK data service. As we said, any outputs requested are checked through our teams. Our user support team is doing the statistical disclosure control, and then those are released to the researcher. How to connect to our remote online environment? The access is given following the application, and connection is done from your office at your institution using the institutional owned and managed device. So that is usually the desktop which is placed in your office, or an institutional laptop which of course will be in your office. We have, of course, other options here in the UK Data Archive, which is the main partner of the UK Data Service. We have our safe room here at the University of Essex, where somebody can visit, of course, and connect to SecureLab from the safe room. And there are the SafePod network, where SafePods and SafePoints across the UK. Somebody, of course, having first applied to us, having an active project, can then make a booking with the SafePod network, visit the SafePod, and connect. The last sentence here is that there are some selected data sets, and that was one of the reasons we asked for the countries. There are some selected data sets in our catalog that are eligible for application from users that are not based in the UK. We are part of the International Data Access Network, so partners currently in Germany and in France. A researcher who is based in Germany and in France and has, of course, an affiliation with an institution in those countries can apply through us, and then once the project is approved, can visit the safe rooms of our partners in those countries and access the control UK data. It's limited. Some data sets from the Understanding Society survey and some data sets from the cohorts from the Center of Longitudinal Studies at the moment. I will include a link for you on the slide so you can see in full if this is on your interest. Of course, there are plans to expand this further. As we said, of course, The last point here is that all outputs will be checked for statistical disclosure control before leaving the UK data service SecureLab. Moving next, of course, with my colleague Siôn, on the second part, we will see in detail all the application components, but with this slide, I would like to show you that the components, in a way, follow the 5 saves. So you see that we will always require the project application, a research proposal, where through the research proposal, we will assess the public benefit, we will assess the methodology, the feasibility of the project, and the public good, of course. Accredited researcher, different ways. Of course, the most usual to have Digital Economy Act accredited researcher status, and of course, to have been trained under safe researcher training. The Secure Access User Agreement is a legal document which is a contract between the user, the University of Essex, which is the legal entity for the UK data service, and the organization of the researcher, of the applicant. So they both confirm that understand the importance and understand the requirements under which those will be accessed and accept legal responsibility. And of course, technical checks before a SecureLab account can be set up. Showing you this slide, I would like you to remember that these are the main components which, because there are different application pathways, but those components will always be present. An application, a way to prove that we are accredited researchers, the Secure Access User Agreement, and of course, our setup to access SecureLab. Going next to who is eligible to apply, eligibility for applying for a project through the UK data service, who wants to access secure data. So, as we said, except for the selected data sets that are made available via the International Data Access Network, controlled data sets are only available to researchers who are physically based in the UK and they are affiliated to a UK organization, institution that will take legal responsibility for their data access. Additional restrictions might apply in datasets. Some of them say that the researchers need to have an affiliation with a UK higher education institution. We are all here having this affiliation. And I will show you next how we can see the actual access criteria for a dataset. I have a question next. If you can check for me, and it's good that if I remember well, we had around 40% of students in postgraduate students in our session. If you can please use again the code to reply on this question for us, that what do you believe that can our students eligible to apply for secure access? So we see one response, it is depend, 1, 2, yes, 3 depends. I see that there is no. Of course, 4 yes and 3. So the correct answer in a way is it depends. So the reason for that is that the secure control data, access to those will not be provided to inexperienced users. So if we have an undergraduate student and access will not be authorized, in addition, an undergraduate student will not be able to meet the storage criteria in order to have an office, a specific place with a specific device owned by an institution to access control data. Then moving to master students, for example, the issue here, even though we have had master students who had projects eligible, is the most common issue is that a master dissertation will not end up in a publication, so there is no a proof of the public good arising for that. Also, the time frames are not, we are currently on a 3-month turnaround time for secure application, so there is no time to apply and access secure datasets. So we will safely say that anyone below PhD level is strongly advised to restrict in less restrictive datasets. PhD and above, because thesis will usually end up in a publication, they are allowed to apply, but jointly with their supervisor, who needs to complete all the steps of the application as well, and will be given their own access to the secure data and the project. Next, we will see a question we get a lot, and we have had it as well on the question we did on how do I know if I need control data for my project. So what are the differences, and is this, so I'm searching, and are those is the control version what I actually need? So if you please give me a second, I will switch my screen to go into our website, and I will show you from here. Super, I think now we can be back. Perfect. Let me know if you can't see it, but I'm confident that we can. So we see, supposedly that you are going through our catalog and you have identified the Understanding Society survey, which is deposited here by the Institute of Social and Economic Research and a flagship survey in our service. You have searched, you have found a number of different data sets, and you see here on the series section, you can visit the whole survey. You have gone through the abstract, some frequently asked questions for the survey, and here you see a number and a selection of different data sets, one group here, then another group here with special license datasets, and at the end, another group with secure datasets. So you say, how do I know? What is it? I will give you an example using the main dataset, the dataset for the main survey. So this one, the 6614 Understanding Society, it is as well the main dataset for the survey. So we have here the less restrictive dataset. Then if we go on the special license access, which we said is a special case of safeguarded data, and we scroll a bit down, we will see here 6931, the same dataset with special license access. And if we go to secure, we will see again the same dataset with secure access. So a question we get a lot is, how do I know which one is the one I need to access? So going through any of that, usually starting from the less restrictive, which is what we always suggest, always see if that meets your needs first. You have the catalog page, the details, documentation, and resources. On the details page, we always advise, when you scroll a bit down, you will always have a section like that. So here it tells us that the main Understanding Society data have three versions. One is available under the end user license, one is special license, and one is secure, the 6676. So the special license version will also give you month as well as year of birth, more detailed country and occupation coding, and some more income variables that have not been top coded. Then we see that the secure version, in addition to containing everything that the special license version provides, also contains day of birth as well as grid reference geographical variables. So doing your research on here and going through the documentation, that you will be able to see all under data dictionaries, all the variable lists, all the questions that have been asked. And this is what we are proud at the UK Data Service, that each dataset is accompanied with all the required information to do a correct analysis. You see as well a PDF where it says the end user license versus the special license differences. Not all datasets have that. It depends what we have been provided and what has been worked during the curation. But going through the documentation and the details, you will be able to identify what you need. Less restrictive, always start with that. And let's assume that I have been through and I have identified that, yes, because I need the day of birth and I need the very, very low geographical variables, I need the secure version. So, of course, you can go back to the series or you can search it directly. So that was 6676. Here is the secure dataset. Again, you can read the information on the abstract, its own documentation, and when you go to access, you will see the access conditions. So I need to be a registered user Of course, commercial use is not permitted for control data. I need to submit a secure access application. I will need to be trained. This dataset is available through the International Data Access Network. That's why it's mentioned here. And of course, we need a safe environment that will be provided by the UK Data Service. So supposedly that I am happy with that, I will need to log in. Give me just a second. I will pause again. And I will go back to where we are so we can resume. Perfect. So I have now logged in. I will now add the dataset in my account. I will visit my account, and here is the dataset awaiting to be assigned to a project which I create. So I add it to a project. I can either create a new project and give the information, abstract of my project, or to an existing. For the purpose of today's event, we have created a project and we have already assigned the dataset in the project. So here is our project details, and I have assigned some datasets to show you some further information. So here is the dataset we just assigned together. Of course, it's the request access. Something important, of course, we spoke about SecureLab. Everything is through SecureLab. Secure data are not downloadable like the other less restrictive licenses. So what I need to do, I'm here and I click request access to see the steps I need to follow. So if you remember the application components, we have had a look. Here are the requirements for accessing this specific dataset. I need a research proposal. I need to complete this form, in this case, to provide information on my eligibility to work with confidential microdata, so to prove that I'm an accredited researcher. The user agreement, and of course, depositor approval, we will send the application, the training, safe researcher training, and the SecureLab account setup. What we will see with my colleague Siôn is that you will see that we have different, so the components will always be almost the same. You will notice, so I have added a different dataset here. So you will see on the screen that we have the SecureLab account setup again here. Training, depositor approval, the user agreement. It's just sometimes that the forms are different. So here we need the SRC accredited researcher proposal, and here we need the Digital Economy Act project application. So those different pathways are because the data owners deposit and share control data for research purposes. Usually the legal basis is public task. What it differs is the act under which those data will be shared for the research purposes. The Digital Economy Act is a try to streamline, to standardize what are the requirements. However, other depositors are sharing the data for public benefit through different acts, like the Education Act or the Higher Education Act. And so you will see these are the differences. That's why you will notice differences on the required documentation. Another difference that Siôn will explain us is that to prove that we are a safe researcher under Digital Economy Act, we need to have AR status, accredited researcher status. Under the non-ONS section, as we tend to categorize it, ESRC data, there is a form that we need to complete. But the good news is that you don't need to know ahead on that. You just follow the steps under the dataset you are applying for, and you complete the documentation. Before I pass over to my colleague Siôn, something to mention that if you have in your project this dataset and the Millennium Cohort Study from CLS, which you see this one has also an additional condition we need to accept, but you see that the research proposal is the same and you are including both datasets into your project. Of course, you do one research proposal which will mention both the datasets. Over to my colleague Siôn, so we can now start seeing as we classified the non-NSO applications for datasets that are shared not following the Digital Economy Act. Then ONS, which are following the Digital Economy Act, and SecureLab datasets under the Smart Energy Code. Yes, Sean, I will stop sharing and I will give it to you, and we then continue. Thank you very much. We will do also a break after the first section with my colleague Sean.
Perfect. Thank you, Iraklis. I am going to start sharing my screen now. Let us bring you over to my version of the project. Keep in mind, me and Iraklis are sharing this project. He is named as the project lead on this, and I am named as an additional researcher on this example project we have. I will be able to see everything Iraklis can see because he's invited me onto it. Let us get into it. Essentially, the start of what Iraklis has shown you is excellent, but it does open out more. So if we are looking at a non-ONS project, you can see all of these bits, but pressing complete actions provides this whole new window. And in the window here, you'll be able to find more details about what you need. And there will be downloads for forms that you might require. Always best to give this a whole read. I saw in the Q&A section that somebody asked what are the main differences between a special license application and a SecureLab application. Just while we're here, the system you'll be going through is incredibly similar. It will look like this for a special license application. There are just different and less steps. For a special license application, for instance, you don't require training. And there will be less detailed forms, but they're very similar. Please keep that in mind. This section at least is going to still be useful for you because you're going to be able to see the same system that you'd use to apply for a special license application. Also important to note, if you're applying for a SecureLab application and special license application to use with that, then you're going to be going through both processes. You'll be able to find the forms for both of you. Just add the special license data to the same project. So keep that in mind. We'll still make this useful for you if you're also applying for special license. So if you are looking for the forms here, the first thing you're going to do is just download it. It's just going to go straight to your downloads folder like that. But since we're here, I already downloaded them all. So let's have a look at non-ONS applications first. So with a non-ONS application, you are going to be using 3 forms altogether. There's a research proposal form, which is the main form, an additional researcher form, an accredited researcher form, rather we call it for this, and a user agreement, a secure access user agreement. The research proposal form is just for the lead to fill in, but we need an accredited researcher form from every single member on the project, including the lead, and the same goes for the user agreement. There are sometimes additional forms with specific data sets. For instance, it's quite likely that a data set held by the DWP is going to require a BPSS check, which is like a DBS check, but more. So keep that in mind. But for the moment, let's look at the main researcher proposal form. I'm going to bring it in over here. And we're going to look at some of the things that people tend to struggle with, as well as give you kind of a general overview. We're just going to roll down here. Obviously, as you can see, some of these things are pretty basic. Your title, a brief understanding of your research proposal with some hints here as to what you might need to include. And here we come to what I find people tend to have a problem with: data requested. What we're looking for here is something very specific. What we want is the full title of the data set and the study number from the catalog. If we were to go back to here very quickly, the study number we're talking about is this one here, like 6689. There's usually a 4-digit number for a controlled data. Yeah, we're looking for something very specific here. If you provide something that's a little bit more vague, we're probably going to have to ask you to go back to it and fix it. Justification is a really important section. What data owners are looking for here is specific variables, as it mentions here. They want to know that you have looked and understand the data set from its documentation. If you're looking for the documentation for data sets, let's just go here to Understanding Society. I'm gonna 6676. Let us browse data by catalog here. As Iraklis, I believe, suggested before, you're going to go to here to the main page of the catalog, and you're going to go to documentation. And what you're looking for really here is UK Data Archive data dictionaries. It's usually called Data Dictionary or something of the kind. So those are really useful to really give you an idea of what should be included in the application. What else? Data linkage and external data. Important thing about external data here, it's really important to get it in the application to start with, because it gives the data owners and us an idea of what you are linking with your data, if you're including anything external. But it's important to remember that any external data is going to be added to your project afterwards. It's not immediately in your project as soon as you finish the application. You're going to need to follow one of our specific import processes with our support team. And we'll obviously talk you through that when it comes to it. Public benefit is so important in a SecureLab project. It's really helpful. The more practical you can be, the more specific you can be in this section about the practical steps you're taking. If you're intending to support the formulation and development of public policy, then please tell us how. That kind of concrete step can really push forward an application. Your research team here, importantly, we are really only interested, especially in the non-ONS application, with people who are actively accessing the data on your project. So if somebody's only looking at cleared outputs, it's less important that they're on this section. Just keep it to the core people who are accessing the data. Again, outputs, so important. We want to know your practical hypothetical outputs. You're not sort of locked into these. You don't have, but we'd like to know the intended progress of your project after you've finished with the data. Yeah, that's the main project proposal. I'm just going to bring you through into the researcher form. So as said, the main project proposal needs to be filled in by the lead, but we need one of these forms for every single person on the project. If I was to bring you down here, this is a much more personal form, as you might expect. It's going to ask you a lot about what experience you currently have. let's start with this top section here. You might be wondering who the principal investigator is if you're a student. I know we've got some postgraduates today. It's important to remember that you are the project lead. If you have a supervisor, they are required on the project, but you are the one in charge. I feel like some students don't expect to be the one in charge, but it's start thinking of yourself as in the lead, on this project because it is important to the process. On any of these forms, the project lead is going to be in this section. And then you're going to repeat that if you are the project lead on this section. But you're obviously going to put your own details in if you are not the project lead. I hope that makes some kind of sense. I didn't mention this in the last form, but title of research, it's important that it matches what's online on your online project form. If it was decided that, oh, my feedback matters, that's interesting. Okay, cool. If I was to bring you forward to this one here, if I decided that this was not the title of my application, that I needed to change it, maybe I chose a random title for no reason when I was making the online application and didn't and chose something better when I made the paper form, you have to ask us to change it for you online. You won't be able to do it yourself. So please ask us and we will change it for you. If I was to bring you down here, we're this section here on experience, very important to the project in general. Some of you might be wondering, I'm a PhD student and I don't necessarily have as much experience as other people. One thing you can do to promote your application is to find a senior lecturer, perhaps your supervisor, and ask them to write a letter of recommendation that we can include in the application. That can be required if you're not necessarily familiar with using confidential microdata. If I was to bring you down to here, there's some sections on membership details, other contributions you might have made. If we go down here, the next section that people tend to have problems with is location. Location and where the data will be accessed from. People tend to mix up these two boxes. Location asks for a specific address, presuming that you are accessing from your institution. Where the data will be accessed from is going to be the nature of your office or other working environment. If, for instance, you're only intending to access it from SafePods, you can put that here, and that will give us a good idea of whether you have considered your data access and the security involved. That is mostly it. You'll notice here it says at the end, your IP address. Our technical team contact you some way through the application with with some requests to know your IP address along with some other technical aspects. So don't worry about that. As long as you know that you can provide an IP address, then you should be fine, and we'll handle that for you. Perfect. Last thing with a non-ONS application, and this is actually the same for every application. All of them, non-ONS or ONS, require a secure access user agreement form. We do keep these on file so they can work across multiple projects. So if you've done one with us before, it's quite possible you don't have to do one again unless you've got a very out-of-date one. What is this here? It is a legally binding contract between the individual user, your organization, probably your university, and the University of Essex, which is the legal entity for the UK Data Service and where I'm talking to you from today. So a lot of information here. A lot of people don't read terms and conditions. I'm going to give you a basic overview of what this involves, but you should really read the whole thing. But essentially, you're agreeing that you will complete the mandatory SRT training, the Safe Researcher training, that is mandatory for every secure project. You are agreeing to information about the registered users' security responsibilities. So everything that you're agreeing to keep the data safe. There's information here about penalties and breaches as set out in our license compliance policy and our outputs release policy. As said, everything goes through our support team to make sure that the outputs are clean, and citation and copyright requirements, mostly based around the public use of your project. Now, what that all amounts to at the end is that you are going to sign off on this, and then you're going to get a legal somebody with legal responsibility at your organization to sign off on this signature at the end. The likelihood is that that would be a contracts office that you could put it through. Sometimes it can be a head of department or a director, but those are the general best choices. If you have any concerns about that, please come and talk to us, and we'll tell you whether we think that the person you have in mind is a suitable signatory. Before we go any further, I'm going to talk to you about training, which is necessary for all projects, ONS, non-ONS. As you can see, it's a section on here. Now, if you've done the SRT training before somewhere else, that is fine. What we would do is provide you with a small SecureLab course, because presumably your old Safe Researcher training isn't going to cover that. But in general, a full Safe Researcher training, if you've never done it before, is a 4-hour course. And we run that here online every 3 weeks or so. And it covers data security and personal responsibility, statistical disclosure control, and how to use the SecureLab if you do it with us. Also, we like to make sure that people are fresh on training. If you haven't done the training in 2.5 years, then we might ask you to do the full course again, or provide you with one of our short courses, which are specifically for refreshers on SecureLab if you've used SecureLab before, but it's been a while. So keep that in mind. We will ask you to join us for training at some point during your application if you're providing us with an application. Usually that's a few steps in. And finally, in this section here, I'm just going to talk about SecureLab account setup. What they'll be asking for is your, as said, your IP address and a few other bits and pieces. It is a necessity to know specific information about your device that you'll be using. If you're just using a safe pod, then we'll probably need a little bit less information, but keep it in mind, at some point during the application, our technical team will come and talk to you, send you an email and ask for some specific information. You can see here that you're also agreeing to certain things that your device is managed by the institution or another party on behalf of the institution, so that we can be sure that it's secure. Personal devices cannot be used. So they must be managed by your organization. There are some points about secure internet access, and among other things, you're not allowed to have other programs, other third parties connecting to your workstation while you're using SecureLab. While we hear a little about timescales, what the average, as Iraklis said before, we are looking at is kind of 3 months to get from you putting through the application to us completing it. Obviously, there's a lot of factors involved there. What we'll be doing is sending off your application to the data owner, and it's quite possible that there will be a number of data owners on your project. Keeping this in mind, we're usually waiting for them to come back to us for a certain amount of time. But we try and make sure that our half of the process is as efficient as possible. And the way that you can help with us with that is by checking your emails, making sure that you've completed all the steps that we've asked you to complete. The sooner you can respond to our emails, the sooner that we can get your application through. So keep that in mind for projects in general. We are going to move towards a break now for 5 minutes or so. So I'll see you all back here at 11:05. If we'll talk about other kinds of applications like ONS applications and so and you can all go and get a coffee or whatever it is you like to do. And we'll see you then. Goodbye for now.
Thank you, sir. See you all in a bit.
Hi there, everyone. I am back again, and I'm hoping that my colleague Iraklis is still with me.
I am indeed. Thank you so much, son.
Perfect. I'm gonna continue on talking about some of the other kinds of applications. We'll go to ONS next. I'm going to bring that up for you so you can see the workflow. So let's look at this ONS application here. As you can see, very different, but at the same time, there's lots of familiar things. Training and secure account setup are still the same. We still require to get your applications to the data owner. But one very important difference is that this ONS application does not require a separate form for each of your individual researchers. You're going to have a main research application, and then you're going to have everybody on the project with accredited researcher status. Accredited researcher status is provided by the ONS. You'd apply with them. It does involve getting training from them, which is the same training that we provide, except that they don't talk about SecureLab. On that basis, you can do the training with us, and that will also contribute to your accredited researcher status. So what we recommend is applying for the researcher status with them, telling us that you require training, and then we can move forward with that. But mainly here we're going to be looking at this main application. We're also going to talk a little bit about ethics, Within that, there is a separate form if you do self-assessment ethics, and that's going to be really helpful to some of you. So I will pull that form up and we will crack in there. Here we are. It's a very similar looking form, but there are some essential differences. One important point here, and we can talk about this right at the top, is that for some of the longer sections, your sort of research proposal sections, the times when you're going to be doing an essay question, there is a example project application. I'm just going to bring you through to that. You're going to be taken to here, and you're going to be able to see an example form. It's not everything. It doesn't tell you how to answer every question, but it's going to be really helpful with hints on how you can make uh, your research project and your application really meet the needs of the data owner. So very useful there. And I recommend having a good look through that if you're doing a DEA project. Let us bring it back to the form here. So assuming you've had a good look at that, we can go through these sections again. I'd like to point out, PhD students, you are the project lead. Please identify yourself as such in this section, and your supervisor can go down here in this section here. As you can see, accredited researcher number right up top here lets me know that you've got it already. And then I can check that against the AR number database. So if we move down a little bit further, there's also in these sections lots of different kinds of roles on the project that they identify. Important here, peer reviewer with access to cleared outputs doesn't need SecureLab access. So while it might be useful for the ONS to put anybody who comes under that category in here, we don't have to go through the same process. They don't have to do training, for example, and ultimately don't have to be set up to look at SecureLab. However, these two, accredited researchers and peer reviewers with access to secure data, they have to go through the whole process. And also, peer reviewers with access to secure data do also need accredited researcher status, which I admit is slightly misleading on this form. But we do not provide those categories. They are done by the UKSA, so they think that it is important. But for our purposes, for your application, not so much. We want to know everything about your research sponsor if you have one. Sometimes people leave this a little bit blank. Existing local project number here. That is your online UKDS project number, which you can find just by going to the project and finding this 6-digit number here, the project ID. So people seem to lose it, but I'm sure that with that information you will be able to find it. As said, sections like the abstract and the research project, the purpose of the research project, are going to be it's going to be really useful if you look at the example given at the top. And that's going to be really helpful for some of those more wordy sections, including these methodology questions. Data required. Again, we're looking for something very specific. We're looking for the full titles, the years that of the data set, which should be included in the full title, and the catalog number. Catalog number isn't mentioned here. That I imagine is because the UKSA don't use our catalog numbers, but we do, and we'd like to make sure you get exactly the right data set. So please provide it if you can. If I bring us back down here, as mentioned before, I believe all of these softwares are available within our SecureLab as default. If you are suggesting that you need something else, that's really important to know right up top, because it might make the difference between your application being viable or not. If you say that you need something that isn't on this list and we can't provide it, we'd like to know in advance and make sure you know. Ethics. Ethics is a big thing for us on ONS projects and on Searle, which we'll get to a little bit later. It's so important for the data owner as well. We can accept institutional ethics as long as it meets all of the needs of the data owner. So if you've applied for institutional ethics, you've gone to an ethics committee at your university, for instance, then we'd like to see the application that you made to them and their response, any of those kind of documents associated with the ethics. And it's going to meet a lot of specific points. Now, it's quite possible that your institution doesn't provide that kind of specific information. What we'd suggest is going to find the ethics self-assessment form, which is linked here. You can just link straight to that from here. I'm going to show you that form in a little bit because I've got it saved elsewhere. Public good, again, such an important component of the application. We've got down to the location here. Some people get confused by this, even though it's already written in here, and they decide they're going to write something else. I don't know why. But it says access the data in a secure environment provided by an accredited processor. UK Data Archive or UK Data Service is the accredited processor. We're providing you with our SecureLab TRE, and that should be as simple as that. But you'd be surprised how often people decide they want to write something else in there. So outputs, again, it's great if how they're described is as practical as possible. There are some exemptions from publishing your findings, but overall, outputs are so necessary for the public benefit side. If the information isn't available publicly, then you're not really meeting that that criteria. So the likelihood is you'll be clicking this yes, and you can provide us with some of these and explain a little bit more down the bottom about your potential publication date, and how your findings will be used. What physical things are you providing? What digital things are you providing? Yep, that's kind of it for this form. I'd like to show you the self-assessment form real quick. So as said, this is for if your institution can't provide full ethics consideration, or isn't willing to for whatever reason. It does happen sometimes, but essentially you're going to be providing some information about your project, and then in this section down here, you're going to be explaining how you meet specific parts. What's really great about this form is that if you were to click on one of these categories, open that up, it'll take you to the UKSA page where that section is explained, what you might want to think about in that section. So if you've never filled out an ethics documentation for yourself before, that can be really useful. And in terms of that, that's most of the application. What we would do once we have all of your forms for non-OS or ONS is we'd be sending everything to our support team, who provide full analysis of validity and methodology in the project. And provided they approve it, we'll be sending it on to the data owners. And yep, if you've got a self-assessment form like this, however, we would be sending it as well to the UK Statistics Authority ethics team before we properly send it off to the full data owners, the ONS, who moderate for all the data owners, and then the UKSA. So that is most of the ONS DA system. I would like to talk to you about Searle very quickly. Searle datasets have their own form. It's a little unusual, but they have a specific process that covers certain aspects from ONS and certain aspects from non-ONS, but it's its own thing. There is a separate Searle application form, which I'll show you quickly. It does also require accredited researcher status from the ONS, and a user agreement, like all the other types of project. There's also one other point, which is that, and this won't really apply to anyone here, I imagine, since I believe everybody is at a university. But the lead project, the project lead must be an academic at a UK institution. Sometimes we get commercial companies, and they require an academic to move on to their team in order to apply for Searle data. But just keep that in mind. That is one of the specifications of the Searle process. And I think that's just about it. I've shown you every single form that I have. And with that in mind, I think I would like to pass back to Iraklis for a bit so he can talk to you a bit about homeworking. Am I correct?
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Siôn, thank you very much. I will share my screen again to excellent. Super. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Siôn, and thank you everyone for being here with us today. It's very, of course, if you have any questions on the forms themselves, and please get in touch with us. The slides at the end, we will provide you with our help desk contacts on any questions you have, any support. We are happy to even arrange with you a Zoom call so we can see the forms together. So any support we can provide, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our user support team is also providing SecureLab drop-in sessions. Usually those are used for researchers who have started an application, who usually have a SecureLab project and they have a couple of questions, but this is something you can utilize as well. You can book a short session, which like 10-15 minutes to ask any questions you have, or of course you can come to our help desk and we can arrange that for you. So moving next, as we said, a lot of people are asking, and it is a requirement for accessing a SecureLab project from home. Of course, it all started during the unfortunate situation with the pandemic, where the UK data service had a very quick response. Speaking with the data owners, the there was an agreement for additional conditions under which a researcher can potentially access a SecureLab project away from the institution and from their home. Before we go in more detail, what I would like to clarify on that is that when we say access from home, it is indeed the home because it is considered a kind of controlled by the individual environment. A cafeteria, for example, or another place at the institution, or something which is not the home, is not considered home. Uh, so, following the pandemic, nowadays our data collections team, in communication with our data owners, they have agreed, and not all of the data owners, some data owners have agreed that the temporarily additional conditions can now become more permanent, and some data owners want to review them in the future. But a lot of the secure datasets are nowadays eligible for a home working application and home working access. So I would like to assume, so we can all think together, that supposedly you have made an application which the application includes, let's say, 2 secure datasets. And you have been given access. Of course, the access will be your institutional access, as we said, from your office location using the office device, the institutionally owned and managed office device. So following that approval, there is, and should there be interest, the steps are the user needs first to check if the project is eligible to receive, in a way, home working applications. How does a project become eligible? So in order for our SecureLab project to be eligible for a home working application, we need each dataset which is present to be eligible for such an application. What that means that the data owner of each dataset in our SecureLab project has agreed that, subject to the additional conditions and an application and screening from the UK data service, the user can be allowed to access it from home. I will show you more details on the datasets. So supposedly that I have checked both my datasets in my SecureLab project that they are eligible for a home working application, I then can submit my application. The application is per project, per individual. So if myself as Iraklis if I have 2 projects and I want to be able to access them both from home, I will need to check if each one, first, of course, is eligible, and if they are to submit a separate application for each one. Similarly, each team member needs to submit their own home working application for a SecureLab project. It doesn't mean that if myself, I have checked the project and I have done my application, that Siôn, who is a team member on my project, is also allowed to access. Needs to submit his own application on the specific project. That's why I have added on this slide as per project, per individual is a good way to remember. Before we see more about the eligibility on the datasets, I would like to speak to you about the connection. So it is important to note that one way, to subject to approval, of course, and eligibility, and once the OK has been provided, one way to connect is you will always be using an institutional device at home. So the device you will use at home will be possibly a laptop which the university has provided to you, owned and managed by the university. So the usual journey is that the user is having that laptop, institutional laptop at home, connecting to the institutionally approved VPN, the virtual network solution, and then remoting into the device which is at the university, located at the office. That is one way. Of course, if there is not a device located at the university, through the institutional VPN, with all the traffic coming through the institution, this is still acceptable. What we need to remember is that always we need to have an institutional laptop, an institutional device at home. Then to check the eligibility. So again, there is a separation in terms of if the data sets have been deposited, are provided by the Office for National Statistics or not. So there are slightly different requirements. I will, if you give me please a second, I will just change my screen. Excellent. So under our help section, we have the section COVID-19, which we are actually during the summer, this will be replaced with home working. And you will see different sections. So let's go with the case that I have a SecureLab project, which has data sets that have been deposited that are not, that they belong to the non-ONS category, we said. So it's non-DA data sets. So accessing this link, you will be able to find two lists: permanent working from home data collections and conditional. Anything that it is present in those lists, it means that the data owners, for example, the Scottish government here, is happy that subject to the additional conditions and an application, those data sets are can be accessed from home. There is not much to worry at the moment between the difference of conditional and permanent, because conditional is the Scottish government wants to be able to review it again in the future. Permanent is they are happy to keep going. But as we said, so supposedly that I have the data set we have seen a lot today on our application, the 6676, and let's have as well a Millennium Cohort Study, for example, 7759. So let's say that my project has 1 and 1, 2 data sets, and that's the only secure data sets that are in my project. So I have come here, I have checked that, okay, the data owner for this is allowing potential access from home, and the data owner for this data set similarly allowing potential home working. And then I need to follow the compulsory application process. It tells me that I need to ensure that first I meet all the criteria under normal conditions, which means that I have made my application and I have my normal institutional access. And then we have an agreement. Let me see if I can make that a bit bigger. Yep. So only submit this form when you agree to the condition. So this is for the user to agree to all the additional conditions. Also, something important, it is to note that the working from home is still UK, so the access, the home needs to still be in the UK. So it doesn't mean that I have a UK affiliation, but I have also a house in Italy, so I have moved now to Italy for 2-3 months. This is not, it is a violation. We still need to be from home. Of course, we read all the conditions. We add our name, our organization, the institution, project number, project title, and this is the address, not the home address. This is the address that you provided us of your institutional access during the application, where the data owner have approved you to access the data. This will be usually your office address. And of course, there is this question: does your project include any ONS, any datasets provided by the ONS? Because there is a separate form, and we are thinking, we have plans to, in a way to be able to streamline this process as much as possible, because we recognize that it is a bit complicated as we stand. I will just, so I can show you the next page. The next page you will see will have all the conditions that I accept, that I will access the SecureLab from home only if all the datasets in my project are on the permitted list. I will only access SecureLab remotely, SecureLab via my office located at my institution, which I will connect to via the VPN. So with the institutional laptop at home, remoting into the office device, or using my institutional laptop with all the traffic routed via VPN through the institutional network. Of course, we're happy our technical team can provide any information on any questions you have on that. And of course, you might need to seek support from your organization's IT in order to ensure that you meet all the criteria. Yes, that I understand that it's a breach if I access from home and there is no permission in place from the data owner, and a lot of information, confirmations that the operating system of both the computers is up to date with security, etc., etc. A requirement for an information security awareness. Usually this is done through the organization. All us who are working on for a university, we usually every 12 months we are required to redo such courses. So please speak with your institution, your technical team, or the data protection office to provide you the information of what can be classified as the information security awareness course. And we provide that information, we declare, we agree, and what happens, this form then comes to us. We double check that the datasets in the project are indeed eligible for an application, and we will communicate with you. Our technical team might seek further information and might be asked to collect the evidence of that the computer has antivirus, etc., everything that is being asked on the form. And we will then communicate with you to inform that you have been approved and you are now allowed to access this project from home. Important to note that as Siôn presented us on the Secure Access User Agreement, and SecureLab is based on trust. We trust that you follow all the requirements that have been agreed. You have, of course, signed, and the university representative has signed that everybody understands the importance, the sensitivity, and that will follow all the requirements. And you trust us to provide you through a secure service, a secure trusted research environment to be able to work and analyze the data. So it is very, very important to check. Most of the unfortunate cases that we have there is nothing intentional, but we need to be very, very careful. Double check with us, check with the institution to ensure that you meet all the criteria that you have agreed. The requirements are on your Secure Access User Agreement, so before you access, ensure that you have met everything. Of course, our technical teams will do checks on your institutional devices to ensure that everything should be in place, but you have also signed with your responsibility that you will make all the requirements and you will follow each requirement. Home working, though, to recap this, each project we need to check if it is eligible, and once we have confirmed that it is eligible for homework application, to actually do the application. Now, if I go one step back, I am in the form. Okay. Give me just a second, please. Thank you. The process if my dataset is provided by the Office for National Statistics, so it's classified on our website as an ONS dataset, the process to check if it is eligible is slightly different. You will need to get in touch with us and we will confirm back to you if the dataset is eligible for an application. If you have in a SecureLab project a dataset provided by the ONS and known as we classified it ONS dataset, you will need to follow both applications. So to ensure that you have applied for accessing each dataset from home. It is a bit complicated. We will please get in contact with us. We will ensure that we will support you throughout the process, and I can reassure you that during the summer the information on the website will have been more clear in terms of making a home working application, so we ensure that we do this right. I think we have covered that. How do we apply? Have I been approved? We will be clear with you that yes, now you have been approved to access the project from home. Perfect. I think we are on 11:40. Yes, so here we have included for you our some QR codes. If you are not registered with the UK data service, you can register through the QR code, and of course we have the link. And our training and events, please always check this page. There are lots of events as the service. We are not only providing with the trustworthy secondary data, we are providing the support and the skills required to analyze this data. So anything you need, any support you need, any questions you have, please get in touch with us. I will reopen to see you as well, to see me as well. Contact with us, and we will get in touch with our data collections team, who will be able to advise us. The question was whether if as a data owner I deposit control data sets through the service, then in terms of accessing, how do I access? And of course, accessing through for a research project should be and must be all the same requirements. Of course, I'm not sure, and the data collections team will advise on how the data owners, if there are any additional agreements, which apologize, I'm not aware at this stage. We have had questions on the difference between secure and special license applications, and we can maybe do, we're planning some videos, some upcoming videos as well, and we can maybe do one video on that, how this can be checked. I do not have, of course, if anybody has any question, of course, we have our contact. So as promised, the tomorrow morning, the slides will be on the events page under the section of this specific event. So any links can be accessed again, how to contact us, the news, the learning hub. A lot of work is going through now in our access team and overall in the UK data service. So we are working a lot with you will see that a lot of our applications are currently manual. So we are working a lot, and there are plans on our system to be able to have digital forms, to be able to have easier functionality, live updates of where your project is, and everything will be tested with our users. So if you are willing to participate in user testing, of course, please also get in contact with us because we can only build the service following your feedback. Siôn, anything else? I think we have covered everything. Emma will send the evaluation feedback for your feedback for the session, so we can design better our sessions.
Sure. No, the only thing I'd say is just to stress that if you want to contact us on the help desk, it's literally me and Iraklis and our colleagues. We're good at dealing with the practical nature of applications. So if you have any questions, if you're halfway through an application, you don't know what you're doing, please come talk to us through. You can go to the contact us webpage on the website.
Perfect. Super. And if I may, because I'm still on the share here, if I may still share this page. So this is the page of our training and events. So you see, this is today's event, and the slides will be provided here at the end. Of course, the session will be on YouTube, and through the calendar option, you can find any other events that you would like to join, or past events, to find out the material that you will need to use. So, and of course, if you have any ideas of events you would like to see, please let us know, and we will be happy to accommodate. I think we can say goodbye. We can thank you so much for your time. important. It's all to support you. We provide the data, you do the work, you will deliver the impact of using this data set. So we are together on this, and we will be more than happy and always appreciate your feedback, your input, and to join us in delivering a better service to you. Thank you very much from me.
Thanks from me.
Perfect. Have a very good day and see you soon.